I've got no idea what that was about. First things first, the Union Jack carb covers for the T120 and other models that have those false AML carburetors fitted. Motones have announced that the polished version is now in stock and ready for dispatch. They are in the moment just in the process of packaging them, along with the brass slotted screws that are to be included with the kit. And the black versions will be available within the next 2 or 3 weeks. So if you've been waiting for the polished ones, they are now available. Right, now we've got Christmas and New Year well and truly out of the way, it's time to start getting our teeth into this build. The suspension on the old Bonnevilles has never been anything to write home about, and to make matters worse, with this bike only having a side stand, it's been sitting on those springs for just over 7 years. Now, I noticed when I first got the bike that the rear suspension was whacked up to full preload, and I'm not entirely sure how long it had been set like that. But releasing the preload to a more sensible level didn't really seem to make much difference, so these springs are obviously very tired. So it made sense for that to be one of the first major modifications to be made to the bike. Now this is one of those jobs that you just can't do on a side stand, and it gave me the perfect excuse to use that new Sealy jack that I have. Unfortunately, the straps that I ordered from Amazon never actually arrived. The good news is that R&G have stepped in with one of their complete lashdown systems, but at the time of filming I hadn't actually got them, and to be quite honest, when I saw the quality of what R&G sent me, I thought they deserved a video all of their own, so that's going to come on Friday. Now for the replacement shocks, I needed a performance custom shock that was well built and durable, and the choice to me, after trying out HAGON Shock's Nitro shock earlier last year, seemed quite simple and straightforward. HAGON have an excellent reputation going right back to the 1950s, and unless I stand corrected, they are the only shock manufacturer that routinely uses stainless steel springs and shock bodies in the construction of their shocks. Now, the Nitro shocks that are fitted to the T120 are absolutely excellent. They're a performance stroke track shock, and I absolutely cannot fault them, and I love the look. But this time, just to do something a little bit different, we thought we would go for the piggyback version of that shock, just to take the suspension on this bike up to the next level. Now, after speaking with HAGON about what it was that we wanted to achieve, we decided to lengthen the shock by 10mm. I know that's not a lot, and because of the way it's done, it's not actually going to give us any more suspension travel. But what it will do is lift the hindquarters of this bike up a little bit, giving it a more aggressive forward-leaning stance, which should also help to improve things a little bit with the handling. The steering on this bike is a little bit lazy, and by lifting the back end up, it essentially shortens the rake of the steering slightly, and it should just persuade the bike to steer a little bit quicker and a little bit better than it did before. If it doesn't quite have the desired effect, we've also got the option of perhaps dropping the forks by a few millimeters when we do the fork rebuild. Now, these HAGON shocks come in a choice of 2 colours, black and silver or silver and black. Thankfully, HAGON have resisted the temptation to adorn these shocks with brightly coloured tinsel and glitter. They've got a fantastic 1960s BBC industrial sci-fi look about them, and I reckon that if Daleks had shock absorbers, this is what they would look like. Now, we're not going to be reusing the factory bolts to fit this suspension on, and we're not just going to be using any old hardware. Motones Custom Shock Dress-Up Kit is an old favourite. It comes in 2 versions, an anodised black and a brushed silver. Now, in both cases, the CNC machine from aluminium billet, and they're of a very high quality, and they come with a set of 4 M8 stainless steel bolts which use a 6mm Allen key. Now, obviously these come in a set of 4, but on this occasion we're going to be fitting a new product from Motones, which is a shock mounted indicator bracket. As it stands, there is only the silver polished and the silver brushed finished available, with a black version coming online shortly. Once again, Motones have invested a lot of money in these. They're high pressure die cast pieces. This makes them lightweight but very strong. They're designed to give the indicators that 1960s vintage look by mounting them towards the rear of the seat rather than being tail mounted. The shape to afford good visibility of the indicator from the rear whilst not getting in the way of a pillion passenger. And I have to say, the quality of these is exemplary. Now at a later date we are going to be using Motones CNC machined silver brushed finished indicators, so it made sense here to use the brushed finished versions of this mounting hardware. And now we've got all that out of the way, let's get this fitted. First of all, you need to make sure that your bike is on a hard level surface. Get your jack into place and get the bike up off the ground. It doesn't need to be up very high. Basically all you're aiming for here is to lift the rear wheel clear of the ground. Now ordinarily you would just change one shock absorber at a time. The one left in situ will hold the swing arm in place while you fit the new one, and then you can go on and replace the other. On this occasion it's a little bit more complicated because we've chosen longer shocks for this build. So the first thing that you're going to have to do is remove both shock absorbers. This will allow the swing arm to drop to the ground. So before you remove the second shock absorber, what I would advise is get a piece of wood underneath that back wheel and have some wooden chocks or wedges available for this job. Now if you have one of those screw type scissor jacks, you may be able to adjust it accurately so that you can line the holes up for your shock absorbers, but I don't have that facility with this hydraulic jack. Now in the past I've found the easiest way to do this is to partially fit the lower half of the shock onto the swing arm, and then using those wedges under your back tyre, adjusting them accordingly with a tap from a hammer, raise the back wheel until the hole for the top mount on your shock absorber lines up with the mount on the bike. Now the mounts on these HAGON shocks are neoprene. They are quite a tight fit, but they are also quite flexible. So once you've got them lined up and seated over the top of the mounts, a gentle twisting motion is usually enough to persuade them onto the mounts. You might not be able to get them all the way on, and I found the best way is to use the original bolt and washer to press them into place evenly. Once that's done, you can remove the original bolt and washers again, ready for fitting your new hardware. So once you've got both shocks in place, it's just a matter of securing them with your relevant hardware. We're going to reuse the original washers in conjunction with these Motones kits, and I don't think it really matters whether you put the top on first or the bottom on first. These mounting fasteners don't actually support the shocks. The shocks are held in place on a post. All these fasteners actually do is hold the shocks in place so that they don't slip off the post mounts. What I did is I put the bottom dress-up kit in place first and just hand tightened it. I then put the indicator brackets on and again just hand tighten it, ready for torquing everything up. Now, right tool for the right job here. Haynes Publishing were very kind enough to give me a copy of the owner's workshop manual for this model bike, and I will be using it throughout the series. Now the great thing about this manual is it doesn't just tell you what order to remove and replace parts for certain jobs. It also gives you the torque values for just about every fastener on the bike. And I will go into a little bit more detail with this manual later on in the series. Now the stated torque value for all these fasteners is 28 Newton meters, which isn't a great deal, but when you come to torquing that top bracket up, it is going to want to move of its own accord, so you are going to need to hold it firmly in place while you torque it up. Now that dress up kit and the indicator brackets from Motones really set these shocks off, and they are far better than just having the stock bolts in place. With the shocks themselves, I noticed an instant difference in the behaviour of this bike. For a start, I think those original shocks had gone a little bit further than I expected, because I did notice substantially more than 1 centimetre difference in the ride height when I first got on the bike. The HAGON shocks have instantly transformed the way this bike rides and handles. They can't compensate for those slack front springs that are in the forks, and I have to admit that I've only put about 22 miles on this bike since fitting them due to the weather and various other constraints on my time. They do feel surprisingly different to the standard nitros that I have fitted on the T120. The rad does feel more plush, although I might add that on arrival there was very little preload put on the springs. With the level of adjustment allowed for preload with the system that HAGON use, and the 12 position same circuit adjustment for damping and rebound, it is going to take me some time to fully dial in these shocks. And then there is a possibility that when we do rebuild those front forks, it's all going to be upset again. But rest assured, I will give a full review on these shocks in due course. Now, I can't leave a product link in the video description for these shocks because all HAGON shocks are custom built to fit the requirements of the individual rider. What I will do is I'll leave a link to HAGON's website, and from there, if you're interested in ordering a set of these, I suggest you give them a ring and discuss your requirements with one of the sales staff. Now, regarding the fitting hardware from Motones Customs, as far as I'm aware at the moment, if you want the dress-up kit, you have to buy a pack of 4 with bolts. And I'm not aware of any plans that Motones might have for supplying them in packs of 2 in conjunction with these brackets. But if you just want to fit the brackets on their own, they will come equipped with a pair of bolts. Now, hopefully by the time this video goes up, Motones will have put these brackets up on the website, and I will leave a link for that product in the video description. Once again, thanks for watching. I hope that you found this video useful and it's perhaps inspired you to have a go at your bike yourself. And if you've enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. We'll have part 6 coming up in 2 weeks' time. I'm not entirely sure what we're going to be dealing with in that video, but I will let you know nearer to the time. And of course, I will be back on Friday to show you that lashdown system from R&G Racing. So until then, ride safely, and I'll see you soon.